Okay, I want to demonstrate why rug hooking is so forgiving that you can change your mind and pull out your yarn as many times as you want to. And even though you can see evidence, those little holes where there was yarn, it doesn't matter. As long as you fill it in and you can't see those holes anymore, it will still keep the rug yarn in the foundation backing. So here's a piece that I was working on, and obviously I changed my mind a bunch because you can see all the little holes where I kept pulling it out, and I'm still not happy. This I found in my closet and I just put it down for a while. So you can see this is the flat side of the piece. These are where the stitches lie flat. And you can see I actually punch pretty wide. Some people are a lot tighter, a lot more stitches per inch, but I'm kind of fast and I don't worry about that too much. It's still very secure in my foundation. The other side is the loop side, and I'm going to turn it around. It looks messy, but there's a lot you can do to clean it up. You can see it's the plush side, right? It's the side with the loops. And the more you fill it in, the thicker it is. And there's ways to clean it up. If you push your yarn into place, you separate the lines of color, you can cut all these pieces of tail ends with a scissor. Actually, I'll demonstrate right now. Say this stuck out even further. I'm going to just cut it as close to the base, and it's pretty much invisible in your piece. So I'm going to turn it back around. So some people prefer this side. Traditionally, this is the side you would show. So obviously it wouldn't be in the stretcher bar. You would have to take it off, and it would, if it was a big rug, it would lay on the floor. But this side is just fine too. I like this side because I like to see the design really clearly, and I don't need the plush. The number 10 punch needle is the needle number 10 that makes the smallest size of the loops. This is only 1/4 of an inch of a loop. The smaller the needle goes, so a 9 or an 8 would create larger loops. So if you wanted bigger loops on this side, you would go down from a 10 to a 9 to an 8. Okay, but I don't care about the loop side, so I want to use as little rug yarn as possible. So I am not happy in here. I want to change my mind there. I'm probably going to change mine somewhere else. So removing yarn is really fast and simple. It was always discouraging to have to pull out a lot, but only because you have to start over. So you're just going to loosen it, take it out. And again, it's very easy to pull it out, but once your piece is in place, the tension is going to keep it all together. So you don't have to worry about using it or wearing it because it's very strong even there, even though I can simply get in there with my fingers or a tool and remove it. So all I do is pull it out. It's that fast and it goes that quickly. And again, I can punch over it. Sometimes it gets stuck in there. But look at that. There's nothing like changing your mind that quickly. A lot easier than if you're a knitter and you have to go back and take out all those stitches and find your place again. So you can see all those holes. And even though they're pretty open, because I've probably gone over this section a few times and changed my mind, it's not going to affect if I have to punch again. One thing I didn't show you in the last video is I'm going to go back and hook some more. So I'm going to find my tail end. I didn't show you how to change colors and how to cut your yarn. So again, I'm going to quickly thread my needle, pulling it through the back end, pull it forward, and pull it back until it's laying completely flat, invisible. So I'm going to follow this outline with my new color of yarn. For this purpose of this video, I am going to do a few punches into my backing. And you can see, even though there's big holes in my foundation because I tore it out, doesn't mean my rug yarn is coming free or loose. Say I wanted to stop there and change colors. You carefully bring your tool away from the backing. And if you pull it out too quickly, the stitches are going to fall out. So I use my other hand, I have to put this on the table. I use my other hand to secure it down in place and pitching it there so the needle doesn't accidentally pull it out. And I'm going to take my scissor and cut very closely to the base. If you want to even get a closer cut, you can put your hand underneath the backing and kind of push it forward to cut really close. And the final piece, you can't see where you cut in the regular stitches. It's so close together. There's cut pieces in here, you can't see them here. So you can use small pieces. It doesn't matter how many times you have to change your color. In the end, you won't be able to see it. Again, this tail end here. If you choose to cut your tail ends as you go along so you don't see them, or some people just clean it up when they're entirely finished. Just like that. If there's a little tail end, you can either stick it back in or just cut it closer. And again, the more rug yarn that's tightly dense in an area is going to keep it very well intact. I've used my rugs for years. I don't put any kind of synthetic glue or backing on them, and they've lasted no problem. The area that you have to be most concerned about is the border area. There you need to make your stitches very close together, and you have to make sure they're very strong into the backing, the foundation. That's the only area where they tend to be more at risk of coming out. But in here, that's very solid. I also, you can wash your rug. You don't have to be concerned. I wouldn't maybe throw it in the washing machine, but a hand wash. Okay. A few things that people find as they begin rug hooking is if you are hooking along, I'll give you a few stitches. Again, I'm just demonstrating here, so I'm not exactly on any line. And all of a sudden, there's any tension leading from your yarn through the needle to the skein. This usually happens when you sit on your yarn, or it's caught on the table or on your leg, or if there's any kind of tension. I'm going to try to hold this in place to create tension so I can demonstrate. Then your stitches are not going to hold in the back. You're going to get like big loops, and sometimes you don't notice it happens until you look back and you see there's a big gap. All you have to do is pull it out. If there was a gap close by, bring your needle down to the base, there's no slack, and re-punch. Or if you notice there was a big gap somewhere deep in your work and you don't want to pull it all out, just give it a cut where that space is, and then re-punch it later so you can go back. I'll try to demonstrate again with there being tension. So I'm going to hook this onto my stomach so it's creating tension, and I'll show you what that looks like. You can maybe hook for a few, and then it stops going in like this. It may not be that obvious. You may get like a stitch every once in a while, but then it will continue again. So obviously it's stuck in there and there, but those are way too big. Just simply pull it out, bring the needle back, the yarn all the way in the needle so there's no slack, and begin again. And if you have to cut, it's no big deal. You can go back and fix mistakes when the piece is pretty much finished and you still mistake. You can still go back and fix it as long as you have that color of rug yarn. To finish up the piece, you could see where my stretcher bars hit. I could do some yarn in there, but there's a stretcher bar, and so the piece is a few inches smaller than the frame you see. When I finish, I will clean up any loose pieces by cutting them at the base. If the other side is what I prefer, I can clean up that side. And then you can remove your staples. And you could turn this into a bag, into a pillow. It's a small size, so it's not a rug. But or if you want a wall piece, it's already on the frame and you can hang it on the wall very easily. And I think that's it. I'm sure I'll have another follow-up video, but for now, this is the beginning of how to rug hook with the Oxford punch needle.